If you've been following my recent vlogs, you might remember that last time we left you in the summer, during a wet but balmy July. Today is the 18th of January and we're frozen in, and that's very much what's on my mind right now. So for this week's vlog, I wanted to do a snapshot of January and where we are right now. So this is us. Over the last couple of days, the temperature dropped to -7 degrees and the canal has frozen around us. So for now, we're stuck in the spot and we can't move anywhere. This is our second winter on the boat, so this time around there are less surprises and we're definitely more prepared. We've been monitoring the weather forecast pretty much constantly, and we made sure that when we did get stuck, it was in a village rather than in the middle of nowhere. Living on a boat obviously involves some management of resources, and you do have to be a little bit organised. It's rare for ice to prevent movement for longer than a couple of weeks though. Already next week it's looking like it's going to be 15 degrees warmer and involve some gale force winds, so that's a whole different challenge. Since we got the boat, I've definitely become more experienced in the art of enjoying winter rather than just trying to get through it. If you don't want to spend several months a year wishing time away in anticipation of spring, you have to really embrace what winter has to offer. Countless people have written about this, and unfortunately, they're all right. While you might feel like rotting indoors under a blanket, going out for a walk really does make you feel better almost 100% of the time. So let's start the day with a walk along the frozen canal. think today and yesterday are probably our coldest days on the boat. It was -7 last night outside, and I think it's going to be the same again this evening as well. When I woke up this morning, it was 4 degrees in the bedroom, which is quite cold. It's quite cold. We need to go and buy some more logs today, because logs make a huge difference. If you use like briquettes or whatever they're called, coal stuff, they're really good for keeping a sort of slow warmth, whereas logs really just get the heat up, and when it's -7 you do need that. Also kind of need some water. We're right next to a water point, but I'm pretty sure that it's completely frozen solid, so I guess I'll have a look at that as well and see if I can get any water out of it. We should be moving from this spot tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to be possible because we are completely frozen solid. Everything around here where we turn around, the winding hole is completely frozen. We can't turn around, and where we were planning to go, I went to have a look at it, it's just completely frozen. People walking by at the window. It's completely frozen, so we can't turn down there either. Anyway, I called the CRT and explained the situation and said, I assume you just stay here? And they said, yeah, don't worry about it, it's fine. We're probably going to be here for a few more days until this situation resolves itself. There's been a couple of, well, I say a couple, there's been one boat from the same hire company that went that way, and then obviously turned around at some point and came back the next day and broke the ice very temporarily. About 3 hours later it had already frozen solid, and what happens is each time the ice is broken, it sort of breaks into these big sheets, kind of big long sheets, so like it smashes it, but not into small pieces, it kind of goes into plates of ice. Those plates end up freezing on top of each other, basically, that instead of just having one sheet of ice, you end up having really irregular, like thin, thick chunks, all of it mixed together, and some of it is then really, really thick. That can actually be quite dangerous for boats, not so much us, but smaller and plastic boats. It can actually really damage them. So if you break that kind of thick ice, then push it onto like the plastic boats, that can actually pierce them and sink them. It's not generally a good idea to go major ice breaking when it's this cold. If it's like a thin sheet, it's fine, but this is really cold, this is really icy. So we're going to be here for a few more days, and then once it's safe and normal to traverse the waterway again, then we'll move on. So until then, I'm going to make some soups, going to go for some icy walks, just get on with life as normal. We're not in a bad place. We kind of moved thinking ahead that it might get icy. There is a water point and an L-sand point right next to us, so we could actually, if necessary, stay here forever if the ice age began today and this was it. But weather, you can't predict it. What can you do? What else was I going to talk about? Oh, I wanted to talk to you about what I was reading. Because I stole the title of this for this vlog, I thought I should tell you about it. It's a book called Stories for Winter and Nights by the Fire, and it's a collection of short stories by women writers. It's from early to mid 19th century, so I think the first one's like early 1906 or something like that, but all different writers, including some big hitters like Catherine Mansfield, Edith Wharton, Angela Carter, Elizabeth Taylor, who I've never actually read. I only, like an embarrassingly recent time, recently, great sentence, I only recently, embarrassingly recently, found out that Elizabeth Taylor, the writer, is not Elizabeth Taylor, the actor. I maybe on some level thought that Elizabeth Taylor also wrote lots of very highly regarded novels. It didn't seem wrong, but then I think at some point I kind of got the impression that the time periods were not, it wouldn't work. The Elizabeth Taylor was not the Elizabeth Taylor. Kind of felt like a bit of an idiot, but I've actually never read any of her books, so this is going to be my first Elizabeth Taylor short story experience. But these are all short stories about winter, but not really Christmas. It's more moody, desolate, dark winter settings. They're not like stories about winter, they're just stories set in winter. I saw some people reviewing this badly, saying like they're not wintry enough, which is like, seems a bit harsh. But I think they're plenty wintry actually, but they're all just different stories by women writers, and they are very like vibey, and what you kind of want this time of year. I find that January is often the cruelest month, the toughest month to get to. No, that's a lie. February is bad, and then March is also not great. Thing is, everything up until the new year, you've got Christmas or, you know, whichever festivities, it's nice. Socialising, little fairy lights, Christmas trees, there's a lot of festive food. And then you've got New Year's, which is when you do like resolutions, fresh starts. I love New Year. I like the kind of start a new thing, goals, notebooks of it all. And then you get to like mid-January, and then there's just the endless bleakness, isn't there? In the UK, you also have to file your self-assessment tax return. So for a lot of people I know and myself, January is just about doing bookkeeping and receipts and finishing your taxes. And then February is at least kind of short. March is when it just never ends. And on a boat especially, March was like still full winter. It didn't feel like spring at all. It felt like spring kicked in at some point in maybe May. Anyway, what I'm saying is this is very kind of in keeping for the moody, dark vibe that, in my opinion, you have to embrace. Just go full hibernation winter, feel it, get into it. Like, you can't block it out, because if you live in the UK, it's miserable for months and months. So you just have to kind of find something good about it. Like, the hibernation aspect can be quite nice. Get into stews. There's a lot of those memes that are like woodland creatures, like little mice and things from children's books, kind of sleeping inside trees. Do you know what I mean? I know what I mean. You want to be like a little watercoloured squirrel under a blanket inside a wood stump house eating home-baked pies. That's the vibe. Yeah, I'm enjoying this very much. I'm reading one a day. Short stories, you don't want to read them too quickly. It can be a bit of a like whiplash feeling, because like they're all different, all by different writers, so you kind of don't want to feel like they all meld into one or something. I like reading them slowly. So while I'm doing this on the side, I'm also reading my number 4 in the Caslet's quintuplet. Is that it? That's 4. No. 5. What's 5? Series of 5 by Elizabeth Jane Howard. It's a huge multi-generational epic family saga which starts on the cusp of before World War II. It kind of starts with the aftermath of World War One in a way, and then sort of with Britain poised on World War II is really when it gets going. And now we're in number 4. I'm in. You may not be. Number 4, which the war has now ended and everyone is a little bit turned upside down by it. So for some people the war was kind of the making of them, the men, and for a lot of the women, and especially the young women, the lives they're leading now are not necessarily what they expected. It kind of follows this one big family, but also a lot of their different offshoots and things in their relationships, and a lot of it is about growing up, especially in book 3, which was my absolute favourite so far, I think. No, that's a lie. 2 and 3 have been my favourite, both of which really kind of concentrated a lot on the young women who were kind of turning from teenagers into women in their 20s, and their relationships and them kind of starting to find their place in the world, and I loved that so much. I love coming of age stories. And this one so far is a little bit, I'm like a third in, maybe be a little bit more. It's not the main family, it's kind of the extended family and friends and stuff, and I'm finding it a little bit slow. Like, I don't care as much about them, which obviously it's trying to make me care about them, but I don't care as much about them. But there's like so many other people that I care about loads, so I kind of want to get back to them, but that's just how it is with these really long saga type books, and I am absolutely bloody loving it. Like, these are so good, they're so comforting, they're so really, I was gonna swear, I'm trying not to, I'm trying to swear less. They're so bloody well written. The characterization is so masterfully done. Like, I do think genuinely she is a genius at doing this, to make you care about so many different people in such a deep way, and to make all these different characters who span this huge range of ages, from actual child to older people, men, women, everything. It's an incredible talent, and it's very, very difficult. I've read loads of books where it's from different points of view, much less diverse than those kind of ranges, and everyone sounds the same and talks the same, and it's just not realistic, and it does my head in. Everyone in this is so fully fleshed out, and you really like believe them. That's what makes you so attached to them. And then by the time you're in like the third or the fourth one, you're just, this is my family now. This is my family. I want to know what's happening. Like all good books, you know it's good when you've got the family tree in the front. When you've got a family tree and like a whole list of characters, that's the good stuff. Like, if you need an actual reference inside the book because there are so goddamn many characters, that's a green flag for me. I think that that is a truly yes experience. It means that it's going to get into it. It means it's not going to be a shallow portrayal of, you know, these bunch of people. It's going to really get into it to the point where they're worried you won't remember who everyone is. Yeah, that's the good stuff. So absolutely loving this. I kind of don't want to finish it, but also I don't want to spread it out too much. I feel like I'm really in the series now. I'm ploughing through them. Probably I'll regret that when it's over, but for now, that's what we're doing. I do also have a pile of other things behind me which I'm kind of low-key working on. I'm doing The Artist's Way, which isn't really a book you read, it's a book you do. It's more like a course, but maybe we'll talk about this another day. I just started To the Lighthouse, and then I felt that I couldn't get into it because I was doing the Caslets, and it's too thematically, not thematically, but maybe setting wise, it was too the same. I can't read books that are a little bit too similar, you know, families, mid-century, it's too similar. So I had to put that aside, but I will obviously go back to it because Virginia Woolf, I mean, I will finish it. And then I got Walden because, I mean, I live on a boat, which is not far from living in a cabin, and I no longer, you know, use a phone. I basically am Thoreau. So I'm gonna read this. I just started it, like a third in. I like to have lots of books on the go at the same time, as you can see. So I'm working on that as well. So that is the book update. I'm really overexposed now. Wow, the sun is moving, so I'm gonna try and move out the path of it. I miss doing book chats, so now I will try to bring them back. When I started the channel, I did book videos, and then over time obviously it's evolved in a more vlog direction, and now because I'm on a boat, it's a boat vlog. I'm not a boat vlog, I'm a real person. I'm a real girl. I like talking about books, so I shall. Anyway, it's 1 degree outside. It's 1 degree outside. And I was going to make pizza for tonight, so I'm going to make the pizza dough now, let it rise, let it do its thing nearby to the stove. Tried to make bread the other day. I did make bread the other day, but it didn't rise very well, so I can't tell if it was too cold, I didn't leave it long enough, or if the yeast is too old. It's too many variables, and I don't know. Thanks for joining me for this book chat. Over and out. This soup turned into a bit of a stew because it's quite thick. It's new potato, some beans, spinach, and then the usual onion, carrot, celery trifecta. The Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit of soup. Delish. middle of the afternoon. I'm going to go and get some water from the water point and see if it's not frozen in. The one thing about winter is that this entire back of the boat just becomes so cluttered with stuff. We've got kindling, recycling, wellies, coal, wood, and it's just cluttered and then insanely muddy. Like, this is a few days of mud. Even if you clean it up, it comes back. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. It's just winter. I'm really looking forward to, when it gets warmer, to have this space back, to be able to sit here, read books, drink my tea in the morning. I can't wait. And that's no water for us. I'm going to be going to the shop to buy some water because the water point is completely frozen up and no water's coming out. It looks like it's been turned off maybe, I don't know. It's not happening, so we'll have to go get some water. While Andrew lugs the logs home, I'm going to go up to the shop and buy some water and, I don't know, milk. Heavy things that need a trolley. It's quite a nice day now, isn't it? Look at this sun. Gorge. This will last for another maybe 40 minutes and then it'll be pitch black again. I can move things around. I can try this rug there. If the table's in the corner, then the window needs a chair. Yes, it does look like a plan. I love this little thing. On this side, awfully crowded to the eye. It's awfully, awfully a lot of work just to be here. My stupid eyes, my stupid eyes. Credit card debt, credit card debt. Seemed like a good idea. And that's the last we're going to see of the sun for today. Still pretty solid around us. There's a layer kind of water on top of the ice, but it's still pretty much solid. So you can see where we are, it kind of melts around the edge because of the warmth of the boat. But then as you go further up, there are whole chunks. So it's still very much frozen. It's -1 outside now. We were talking yesterday about how different it is now compared to last year, because last year we just kind of got the boat when it got really frozen in. We hadn't had the batteries done at that point, so it was such an insanely different experience because literally everything that we did was kind of ruled by the power and the power constraints. Just making sure the batteries were constantly topped up, keeping an eye on the batteries. When you're kind of new to the whole thing anyway, it's quite difficult to deal with lead acid batteries because they're quite a specific thing. You have to monitor them constantly and keep them within like a certain limit and constantly be like, do we need to run the engine? But you can only run the engine before 8 p.m. and after 8 a.m. so you'd have to like work your way back. So if we'd have to run the engine for 2 hours, we'd have to make sure we were home at 6 so we could run the engine. If it was like -4 outside, it also made the batteries way worse. It like made the performance so much worse because the batteries used to be outside. Now they're inside the boat. They used to be outside in the engine bay. They'd get really, really cold. After 8, we'd be like, right, you can't do anything now. We wouldn't be able to run the oven, so we'd have to make sure we had dinner before then. It was just so much like preparation and having to like constantly keep on top of it. And yeah, like we don't have to do that anymore. It's completely a better experience. It's so much easier now. We can pretty much do whatever we want at any time of day, unless we go like really hard overnight, but generally it's not a problem. And we can run the heating. We can run the washing machine like if we want to at night. The batteries have been amazing. We've had like no problems whatsoever. So now I can make pizza and then use the oven after 8 p.m. Quite magical. Okay, let's make this pizza dough. Now we leave it for about 15-20 minutes and hopefully it's alive. Okay, good news, it's very much alive. A little too alive, probably. Oh well, it will certainly be a bouncy pizza. Please don't judge the washing up pile. I'm trying not to use too much water until we know that it's unfrozen, so I'm just gonna let that chill for a bit. The dough is proving it's gonna be about an hour. I'm gonna make the tomato sauce and then I'll be done. Now I'm gonna chill. I did most of my work earlier. I will spare you from videos of me sitting at a laptop working, but I did it. This evening I should really work on my knitting. I started a hat not too long ago, so I should work on that. It's got to like one of the bits where you have to do stuff instead of just knitting. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll turn my hat around, drink a cup of tea and sit in front of the fire. What else is there to do when it's this cold? It's blissful really. A quiet night. It's now -2. In here though it's about 27, so can't complain. Also while I'm cooking I'm listening to an audiobook called Unruly by David Mitchell, which is like a history of kings and queens in Britain I guess, the UK, Britain, England? No, I think it's Britain. It's really funny but also like kind of semi-educational. It's history kind of light, but I've learnt quite a lot because he keeps saying in it that like, oh, everyone knows this, you know, like this is a really well-known fact or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know any of it. I don't know any of that kind of history. Maybe I'm some kind of statistical anomaly, but I don't know very much about the kings and queens of Britain other than like really basic facts. Like, you know, Henry VIII, that kind of era. I've got some knowledge of that because I've seen the show The Tudors. So knowledge is maybe inaccurate, but I have kind of broad strokes on what happened there. But everything else, I like know almost nothing about. Stuff he says is really well known and like really obvious, like the Battle of Hastings. I know nothing about that. I think maybe I missed that part of British history because I didn't join British school until I was 9 in year 5. So maybe you do something on that beforehand, because I don't remember doing anything on really British history at school. We did Germany, World War II as like the big thing. No one ever taught me anything about, well, quite a lot of British history actually. So, you know, it's all news to me, but it is also really funny. So very enjoyable non-fiction audiobook rec if you're into that. I've got to the portion of the evening where the fire has actually kicked in properly and it's now baking hot. Anywhere behind the kitchen will still be fairly cold. The bedroom will be absolutely Baltic. Keeps things exciting. The recipe says to use half a clove of garlic, so I've used 3. It's huge now. This is just for me, so I'm doing a little mini personal sized pizza for myself, and the rest is going in the fridge. The thing about making your own pizza is legally no one can stop you putting a diabolical amount of cheese on it. There's actually no law against it. You can put on however much cheese you want, and then a bit more. It's Thursday, so it's bell practice. I absolutely love it. 3 bells. The real deal is on the weekend. On Thursday they practice. I think I'll probably leave you here. I just realised I've never done a sign-off in a vlog before. I don't like film them like that. I just normally film whatever's going on and then put them together in the edit, and then when it ends, it ends. But I know this one is ending now. This is the end. So I can say bye in real time. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed it. Next time when you see me, it will be in the past. It will be once again summer. There's a lot of really good stuff coming up. We've got some really good trips that we've done. It's good stuff coming. I'll see you then. Bye.